somebody tells you how they feel.
To another episode of Before Coffee. This is Thursdays 13, in which we're going to talk about 13 things on a list. Please share with us what the things on the list are. You got no list today.
I'm going to get some coffee. No, because I'm not in the mood for it right now. Because I don't even know why you want to argue about everything. I don't know why you want to argue.
13 things of things that we argue about on Before Coffee. This is the first and only international game show, Before Coffee, a father and daughter news podcast in which we look up our stories right before the show. We just got caffeine in our bodies, and we're learning to read and speak live on stream. Let's get into those Thursday's headlines and spin that segue wheel. Today on Thursdays 13, I have two stories here. Well, let me find them. Spain police enter the Prime Minister Sanchez's Socialist Party HQ in a corruption probe. Plus, defense. Norway joins advanced nuclear deterrence proposed by France.
We just have industrial disasters to report on today. We have a paper mill explosion in Longville, Washington, and Orange County. Residents can go back to their homes in California.
Coming out of Birmingham, the council paid itself more than £470,000 in fines and charges as vehicles breach clean air zone rules.
And on Thursday's 13 list, we're going to talk about 13 quantum leaps in human history, if you're anybody still around.
In my culture news, we're going to talk about a new musical coming to New York, a heated rivalry parody, which is sexy as hell, filthy, and hilarious.
And it's like National Hamburger Day, National Beef Burger Day, and National Brisket Day. So it's all about cutting up a cow, apparently, on May 28th, 2026 on Before Coffee.
And music back on. Yes, yes. This is still here. Let's roll the segue. Wait, where's the segue wheel? There it is.
I still don't want to do it. I'm sleeping.
Our first segue is accurate metaphor or simile. And my first story is coming from Spain, where the current Prime Minister's offices have been raided. This is from Al Jazeera. Spanish police enter governing party's headquarters in Madrid as the corruption cases circle Prime Minister Sanchez's government. Police have entered the headquarters of the Spanish Socialist Workers' Party, PSOE, in Madrid as part of an investigation into the possible financial wrongdoings, according to local media reports. It seems to always be that with corruption. Hey, how can we use government money for my own benefit? Police officers entered the PSOE premises on yesterday, the 27th of May. The Reuters news agency reported, quoting a civil guard spokesperson. The civil guard told the Associated Press news agency that the police were under judicial orders to find material relevant to a national court inquiry in accusations of corruption against the former party members and other individuals. Police said the search is strictly limited to the inquiry, led by national court judges Santiago Pedraz, into the possible wrongdoings of PSOE member Larry Diaz. The development comes after former Socialist Prime Minister Jose Luis Rodriguez Zapatero, which we talked about, I think maybe was it yesterday or last week, was placed under formal investigation last week in connection with a government airline bailout. He has denied any wrongdoing. PSOE spokesperson Monts Miniguez told local Catalonian radio that the party was calm and fully cooperating with the courts, stressing that any information requested would be handed over. Police were following a judicial request for information, which requires prior notice and targets specific items as distinct from an entry and search carried out without prior notice, to gather all kinds of evidence, reported Reuters. The case against Dees started in 2025 when audio recordings appeared in Spanish media of her apparent involvement in attempts to discredit a member of the Civil Guard's anti-corruption unit, AP reported. Further reports linked her to the alleged attempts to influence the work of state prosecutors. The judge's inquiry is targeted at seeing if Dees received payments from the party to allegedly carry out these efforts. Of course, the story we talked about last week is about how the secretary was basically writing up fake, I can't remember the English word for it right now. Factor. What is invoices. Fake invoices in order to be like, oh yeah, we spent money on buying that thing so that we could totally steal this money and use it for our own influences. Yet, the head of the main opposition conservation party, PP, Alberto Núñez Feijóo, said Pedro Sanchez's government stinks of corruption and renewed his call for early elections. Well, he would say that he's opposition. The prime minister was not in capital on yesterday, the 29th. I'm going in the future. 27th of May, as he is visiting the Vatican in advance of Pope Leo XIV's visit to Spain next month. He is scheduled to hold a news conference later in the day. That's first since Rodriguez Zapatero was placed under investigation. The prime minister's brother and wife are also being investigated over allegations of influence peddling, which they both deny. You know, my brother's the prime minister. You better listen to me. Sanchez has dismissed the case against his family members as baseless and part of a right-wing smear campaign. Once his right-hand man, former Transport Minister Jose Luis Avalos, is also awaiting a verdict in his corruption trial, which heard closing arguments earlier in May. Yeah, I get what they're saying here. It looks like a lot of the Spanish government's parts, maybe not the prime minister himself, right, but a lot of parts of it are currently being trialed for corruption. So I don't think it's unfair for the opposition leader to say it stinks of corruption, the whole thing. But I guess he's specifically saying, yeah, just the party. The party is doing questionable things with government money, perhaps. But none of the actual judges have put out a argument yet. They're only being trialed still.
Or corruption. That seems like every story we ever do is corruption. As the metaphor for corruption is, of course, is the invisible rot. Like your house crumbled to the ground one day, but you never saw the rot that was going on in your foundation.
Yeah, you didn't know it was happening. It was there.
There's your metaphor.
And it's very easy to get tied up in corruption too. Like the assistant or whatever, right? Like the secretary. Oh, okay. I guess I'll do that. Please don't fire me. You know, I like this job. I guess I'll do this corruption so I don't get fired. And then that's also another level of these things.
Another thing corrupt people do is they blackmail you. They get you in on their corruption. And they go, wait, you can't tell on me because I'll tell on you.
Exactly, and then that's how it breaks down.
Every illegal conspiracy involves all of that. You know, everybody's a conspiracy of backstabbers. Somebody someday will crack.
Well, I think that's probably what's going to happen here. That's why they're interviewing and breaking and looking and investigating, so that somebody will be like, "Oh God, they're going to catch me. I guess I'll have to tell them everything." There's always one weasel in the corruption ring that's scary.
And why does it exist? They exist because a certain amount of people get away with it. And a lot of times they all get away with it. Like in the United States, for instance, it's just one big corrupt ball of, debauchery. Debauchery, that's what we have.
Debauchery.
Not regular.
All right.
Not debauchery, but debauchery. Or
my next...
However you
I have another story, which is about something unrelated. Norway is joining the nuclear deterrence proposed by France. This is from Emmanuel Macron yesterday evening, May 27th. The Scandinavian kingdom has agreed to integrate strengthened strategic cooperation proposed by France in early March in response to the war-like escalation in the Middle East. This is on Liberation with AFP. Norway joins the ranks. The Scandinavian kingdom will integrate the advanced nuclear deterrence proposed by France to its European allies, announced on May 27th. While Emmanuel Macron received at the Elysee Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre. You have given your consent for Norway to join what we have called advanced nuclear deterrence, he said. This is a very important step in our partnership, and it will be driving force behind very ambitious cooperation, he told reporters at the LC Palace. Norway, a key geographical strategic partnership, which we already had significant cooperation to ensure the protection of the Allied territory against external threats, will represent a strong added value for this advanced deterrence, he added. Reminder for anybody, Norway is not actually part of the EU, so they are an odd independent country.
Wow.
No, they are not. Yeah.
I guess I knew it, but didn't know it.
They wanted to keep their oil money to themselves. I believe it's the joke everyone says. Because they have a lot of oil rigs out there in the North Sea. Yeah, Norway indeed. Alongside the French president, the Norwegian leader recalled that France is now open a dialogue with its close allies on how its nuclear weapons can also contribute to European security and deterrence against military threats. He confirmed that Oslo wants to be associated with partners like Poland, the UK, Germany, and Nordic partners. Emmanuel Macron updated in a major speech delivered early in March on the strategic basis of Long Island near Brest, the doctrine of French nuclear deterrence. While France is the only European country with atomic weapons, with the United Kingdom, it has defined an advanced deterrence involving other voluntary European states, but without any sharing of the ultimate decision. It's kind of the same thing the US does, actually. The US gives its nukes to other countries, like as a loan, and then the nukes are in the country, but they don't have the option to actually launch the nukes, I think. They just have, hey, better watch out, I have a nuke in my country, so you better not mess with us, is kind of the idea. 8 countries have been immediately associated with this new doctrine: the United Kingdom, Germany, Poland, the Netherlands, Belgium, Greece, Sweden, and Denmark. Norway, as a member of NATO but not the European Union, had initially said it was ready to discuss it with Paris. On the program and the reinforced strategic cooperation, the establishment of a nuclear steering group, participation in French nuclear exercises, or intelligence sharing, this is not a nuclear umbrella but a coordination, Ifri Olivier Fayette told Twitter. She noted that Finland and the Baltic countries had also shown interest while remaining prudent, cautious, and that Romania could be also a candidate. Beyond that measure, France and Norway also reached a defense agreement yesterday on the 27th of May with a mutual defense clause in event of aggression. Norway definitely needs to keep its eye on its treaties because, like I said, right, it is part of NATO, but it's not part of the EU. And those two different things will have two different reactions to an invasion. Not that Russia is planning to invade Norway. I don't know why they would go all the way over there. They at least need to invade Finland, Sweden, and then Norway in that order, I think. But still, they could go around, I guess, take the North Sea route. Just to invade Norway for whatever reason. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. They got fjords, but I'm sure Sweden has fjords too, right? I don't know. Is Sweden part of the EU?
Yeah, Sweden is part, but not monetarily, as well as Denmark. Also not monetarily, right, I believe.
The krone. All right, so my metaphor would be, sounds like Norway wants to have his cake and eat it too.
Please defend us, and as we make money off our oil, that's a lot of the Europeans feel that way about Norway.
You can't share in our lucrative oil money. No, defend us with your nuclear weapons. Right, golly, NATO. Sorry,
All right, let's
Norway.
go
That's
to
the way
our-
I see it.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of people feel that same way. To be honest, a lot of people feel that way.
No.
The right,
And
but well, now that the UK is not in the EU, it's a bit different. But
Norway's greatest import is that band, Aha. Aha. That one song, a really, really, really big song. Take on me.
there's
All
our
right,
bonus
did we
reminds
spin?
of the song. Mixed metaphor is our next.
Get my
So
terrible.
now I have to mix the metaphors.
You got to mix a metaphor. Get to hear my turbo alto falsetto. We're going to talk about disasters, unfortunately. At a light note, huh? Hey, cheer up, everybody. There's people dying at work. Go to work one day at a paper mill and don't come back. This is the horrible news in Longville, Washington. We couldn't get to because we have other priorities during the week. It's obp.org. I think that's Oregon Public Broadcasting. As the story, Conrad Wilson, Troy Brynelson, Amelia Templeton, and Courtney Sherwood all byline this story. Longville paper mill disaster could be the deadliest industrial tragedy in modern Washington State history. I don't know if they mean by modern. I always like when they use that word modern. When did that start? 1946, modern. That's it.
Right
I don't
after
know.
World War II.
Anyway.
That's what a lot of people say. Yeah.
The confirmed death toll for the chemical rupture in Longville has now climbed to two, but that's not going to stop there. Pretty sure officials said Wednesday, with another 9 people presumed dead. I mean, you're not missing in an industrial accident and just out eating a sandwich. You're dead. We're bracing ourselves for this being the deadliest industrial tragedy in modern Washington State history, Governor Bob Ferguson said in a news conference Wednesday. I want to extend my deepest condolences to those who have been directly impacted by loss of loved one during this extraordinary challenging time. Early Tuesday morning, a 900,000 gallon chemical tank, that's nearly 1 million gallons, my friends, failed at the Nippon Dinaware Packaging Company, Japanese company. The tank rupture released tens of thousands of gallons of the caustic chemical known as white liquor. Oh, that's not a good name. Which is used to break wood chips into pulp to make paper. Nah, it's going to be pretty strong. I'm pretty sure it's probably bad to inhale this. 9 people who were injured as a result of the tank rupture were initially taken to Longville's Peace Health St. John Medical Center. Peace Health spokesman Jim Murray said the 4 of those patients were transferred to other hospitals, including the other, let's name all the hospitals. One worker was declared dead on Tuesday after being taken to Longview Hospital. A second person was confirmed dead on Tuesday. 4 patients stayed at Longville and treated at the medical center. They have now been discharged. 9 others remain missing and presumed dead. Emergency responders paused their work on Tuesday evening, citing concerns about the structural stability of the collapsed tank and the ongoing threat as rescue workers could be exposed to harmful chemicals. And while those concerns remain, officials said Wednesday the scene was safe enough for them to begin the process of trying to recover additional victims from the site. All individuals are recovered from the site. They'll undergo decontamination before you're transported to Cowlitz County Coroner's Office for identification. There's not much to rescue anymore. It's a recovery operation at this point. Unfortunately, ain't a whole lot of waiting you can do anymore. I mean, a chemical. Your loved one works at a paper mill, and there's an accident, and they're missing. I don't think there's any hope. So there's your quick story. It is a longer story. All they're going to say in this story is the cause of the leak is under investigation, because that's all they can say at this point.
Yeah, it's very new, so
as far as
you can't figure out what happened that quick.
As far as a local environment, local officials are still trying to understand the scope of the environmental impact after testing samples showed from the corrosive chemicals spilled into the Columbia River. At this time, there continue to be no identified negative health impacts to the city. Identified means, people might be getting sick. We don't know. To the surrounding air quality of the city Longview's drinking water system. Our water drinking system. Officials are still asking the public to avoid the area, as well as surrounding dikes and ditches due to possible chemical exposure. Along with state agencies investigating, the U.S. Chemical Safety Hazard Investigation Board announced Wednesday it had opened an investigation of what the agency described as a fatal chemical tank implosion. Independent federal agency is responsible for determining the cause of catastrophic releases of hazardous substances and since the 18 to longer. There's your unfortunate incident, and let's have us a mixed metaphor, and then we'll get on to the next chemical accident in the United States that happened this week on the West Coast.
My mixed metaphor is the paper factory accident was a storm in a teacup. Chemicals whirled like a magician's potion.
Yes, not.
And then exactly like you in that cauldron, right? There's an explosion. Exactly what happened.
Implosion.
Almost literal. Implosion. Sorry. Yes. It imploded into itself. In other words, yeah.
Right. So the tank got sucked inside, and of course the leak. Whatever chemicals were in there, you can imagine what kind of chemicals you need to break down wood into paper. You have to sit there with a hammer for 4 days to do it yourself. So the chemicals do it in a matter of minutes. They got to be pretty toxic. Next story about other toxic chemicals that, for some reason are in our neighborhoods. KTLA, all evacuations. KTLA, it's a television station or a radio station too, I believe, in Los Angeles. All evacuation orders are lifted for residents near Chemical Tank in Garden Grove. Vivian Chow has the story. And all evacuation orders lifted Tuesday after authorities confirmed the threat of explosion from the leaking chemical tank in Garden Grove was eliminated. Orange County Fire Authority said no threat to fire explosion. Building arrangements continue to monitor the tanks at the GKN Aerospace facility on Western Avenue. Oh, yeah, sure. Local chemical plant right next to the 7-Eleven. Gotta love the way to just put industry right in your neighborhood. The incident began on May 27th and continued to escalate. Continued leaking methyl methacrylate, a volatile inflammable liquid used to make acrylic plastics. Things escalated over the weekend as the cooling efforts on the overheating tank failed to make strides, and around 50,000 residents were evacuated. They had to leave your house. Don't stick around. We don't know if you're going to live. OCFA has released a map of the potential blast zones if the tank exploded. Okay, we don't know if the thing's going to explode. Okay, they were worried about explosion. The evacuation orders were lifted as residents affected by a chemical leak crisis. Anyway, that's a caption. The tank was monitored around the clock as an unmanned hose continued spraying water on it. Unmanned hose, robotic, I suppose. By Monday, May 25th, authorities said the crack discovered in the tank was relieving pressure, marking the first turning point in the order. Turning point is relieving pressure. You mean it's leaking poisonous gas? Doesn't that what you mean?
Yeah.
A temperature had cooled below 100 degrees, the point where the risk of explosion was eliminated. Later on the night, officials said a significant reduction in the evacuation zone surrounding the tank as 1,000 residents return home. However, by Tuesday, May 26th, a threat of a smaller blast remained, affecting the area closest to the facility, leaving 16,000 residents still evacuated. We assume they evacuated. By Tuesday night, UCFA announced that all evacuations were officially lifted and residents could return home. Streets near the facility were also reopened to traffic. Glory day! We could all get comfortable as we inhaled the chemicals in our own homes. People line that's a caption. The incident had left many residents concerned and frustrated. Such a facility was located in a dense urban area near many homes and businesses. And hey, I wonder why we get this home so cheap. Now I know. I got my home so cheap. On Tuesday night, a city council meeting was held where more than 200 angry residents demanded answers from local leaders and authorities. Yes, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. People are pissed now. No, I didn't even realize that was there. You should have realized it was there. Again, if you go to chemical, maybe go take a tour of the place, see what they're doing. Take interest. It is called the Garden Grove GKN Aerospace, and they are leaking stuff into your environment. Filippo Marchino, founder There's no EPA in America anymore, by the way. That
That's
has
the
been
joke.
disbanded by Elon Musk.
That is indeed the joke I was telling.
All right, maybe we ought to come up with a new meaning for EPA. Just the whole new meaning for it. Extremely something, I don't know. Work on it. Filippo Marcino, founder and president of X Law Group, which was the firm's represented two evacuees in the class action lawsuit. You don't get to this kind of circumstance if you haven't had some negligence. These substances are safe when they're properly handled. When you start acting in a lackadaisical way and not maintaining the maintenance systems and not properly supervising structure, then you run some very serious issues. Just going to say, as you said, as you alluded to, the EPA in the United States doesn't really do anything anymore. So this is going to continue to happen, by the way. There's going to be fewer inspections, there's going to be fewer regulations, and there's going to be more deaths. So that's your future, America. We have no government. We have no government. We have no government. Thank you. State governments, though. State governments, but they can only do so much. The industry.
Yeah. Is that
That's
your
it,
story?
man. That's my good news for today. That's it.
Your good news.
Mixed metaphor on screwing neighborhood.
The next metaphor is that chemical tank was a fragile glass bubble with an open wound.
Oh, wow. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. And again, if you're in one of these neighborhoods, there's a reason you're in one of those neighborhoods. Probably because you're poor.
Yeah, keep all the poor people next to the chemicals, put all the rich people in, that's in nature.
Those people have no life. But those people's lives are meaningless. They don't have filthy rich, they're not filthy rich. How could they possibly be enjoying life anyway? That's the rich person's point of view. You don't have to look it up. That is their point of view. And it always will.
Our next segue is non sequitur.
Non sequiturs. I got those all day.
This story is only one. This is only one story, and it's a long one. Coming out of Birmingham.
Okay.
By
Birmingham,
World.uk and LDRS. I don't know what LDRS is. I don't know if that's somebody's name, but that's who's under the article. Birmingham City Council has paid more than 400. The Birmingham City Council has paid more than $470,000 to itself in daily charges and fines because it owns vehicles break the rules of its clean air zone. The council has paid more than so basically they're fining themselves because their vehicles don't. This is a great example of just pay the fine. Oh, we could just pay the fine and not fix our vehicles. That's what it sounds like they're doing. Breaking the rules of its Clean Air Zone CAZ to tackle city center pollution. The spending by Birmingham City Council has been called absolutely shocking by a food bank, which said charges had led to a decline in volunteer drivers. Oh, we can't afford to do anything, so let's just pay the fine instead. Although the authority has faced a continuous binge strike since January 2025. Wait a minute, this is Tommy's binge strike. When he was on the show, he covered the binge strike, and we thought it was going to be finished, but then it didn't finish. No! Terrible news. Most of the vehicles which drew daily charges were from its waste department, the BBC shared data unit reports. There were some scabs in the bin strike. The council said it had been replacing non-compliant vehicles over the past 12 months and wanted eco-driving across its fleet, but admitted 1 in 8 of its vehicles still broke its own CAZ rules, which had been in place since 2021. I guess I should say CAZ rules. The number of fines and daily charges paid by Birmingham City Council represented around 20 times the number of those paid by any other UK council running a CAZ, low emission zone, LEZ, or ultra low emission zone, ULEZ, which was able to disclose any similar payments for breaking their own emission standards. Government commissioners have been working with Birmingham City Council since it issued a so-called Section 114 notice, often referred to as declaring its own effective bankruptcy in 2023. We're bankrupt from paying our own fines. In March, its then Labour leadership hailed its first balanced budget in 3 years. But the problem with this, right, think about it here. The reason for the fine, right, is one, to punish you for breaking the rules, and two, shouldn't that money from the fines go into fixing it, right? So you would think if you're paying your taxes in Birmingham, their cars aren't fit enough in order to follow their own rules. They fine themselves using your tax money. Where does that money go after it's paid in fines? Does it not go into
self-dealing?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, does it not go into fixing your cars or upgrading your vehicles? Where is it going? I don't know. So that's if anybody's not understanding what's fucked up about this situation, right? Is they're paying your tax money to themselves, and we don't know where that money goes after they do that. Where the fines go. Income from the CAZ charges and fines goes towards the operating cost of the scheme. Some government charges and any surplus has to be spent on transport or environmental schemes. Is it being used for that though? That money does not go back into the council's general funds, so it cannot be relocated to other projects. Okay, saying what and what cannot be done with it doesn't mean those things aren't happening. That's all I'm saying. Kings Heath Food Bank's organizer said its own work relied on the goodwill of volunteers, but some of them could not afford the city's CAZ charges. They said fewer volunteers to drive donations around the city meant the food bank was helping half the number of people it used to help each week before the CAZ was introduced in 2021. It's time to start with bike infrastructure. That's right, it's time to bike that food around Birmingham. Birmingham doesn't seem that big. You can definitely bike around it. Yeah, I'm looking. They literally have a map of it right here. I'm like, yeah, you could bike around there and deliver food. Get one of the wagons, a wagon in front of your bike, and bike food around. The food bank's organizers said they had asked the council for an exemption for volunteers, but were refused. Food bank coordinator Sharon Powers said, "I certainly could not afford to pay charges to collect money or food for anybody. It's only because we've got good people that will go into the city and collect for us that we are able to maintain support to the people. The countries in this state, people are having to choose to eat or eat in the council, spending money right and left and center. It's absolutely appalling." Under the CAZ scheme, the daily charge for vehicles that do not meet emission standards is £8 for cars, vans, and taxis, and £50 for HGVs and coaches, unless a valid exemption is in place. It is enforced using automatic number plate recognition, which records vehicles traveling within the ring road. Is it 8 every day? It must be £8 every day. Yeah, it must be £8 every day, because that's really low. Anyone who fails to pay within 6 days after entering the zone faces a £120 fine, which is reduced to 60. Oh, so it's a day. If you enter the zone, if you enter Birmingham Center with a card that doesn't fit, you have to pay £8. If you don't pay the £8, you have to pay £120, which is reduced to £60 if paid within 14 days. Okay. Why aren't people just paying the £8 then? I guess they can't afford it. That's the argument. Using the environmental information regulation. Yeah, but it goes from £8 to £120. Like, the amount it increases to is crazy.
Right.
Like, they'd rather just ignore the fine, I guess. The BBC was able to secure data about the council's CAZ spending on purchased cards. The data did not make clear if or how often the council paid higher fines for late payment over all of the 5 years that they've had this situation going. The most recent fines in the past financial year covered by council purchased cards were all by city operations. There were 4 £60 payments on March 30th, 2026, which sounds like that they did a late fee, maybe. Before the CAZ was introduced, the council said air pollution was responsible for shortening the lives of about 900 people per year. Its aim was to reduce the amount of harmful air pollutants, nitrogen dioxide, and particulate matter in the air. William Bloss, professor of atmospheric science at the University of Birmingham, helped lead a study on the CAZ's impact. He said, "We know it's clean now within the clean air zone area. By cleaner, we mean made up of more modern vehicles with less of the older, higher polluting ones, and we know from our own measurements here at the university that we saw a step change in the NO2 levels within the clean air zone when it was introduced. We could see a definite change linked to or attributed to that policy." He said for there to be further health benefits, we would need to see further societal change, such as how we heat our homes, not just to the vehicles used on the city's roads. Council spokesperson said it had now established a central vehicle management service to fast-track transition to a modernized, low-emission fleet, driving efficiency, economy, safety, and sustainability. They said only 142, or 12% of the 1,170 council-owned vehicles in its fleet as of March 31st, remained non-compliant with the CAZ's requirements, and a large number of those vehicles were minibuses related to social services and education provisions. The spokesperson added the council was looking to develop eco-driving across the fleet, first by monitoring its vehicles. I'm just trying to share their point of view, because obviously they just want to have their bullshit they want to share. The council said it will run some exemption schemes for contractors and council vehicles. Pollution charges first took effect in UK in London's LEZ in 2019. Bath became the first city to have a clean air zone outside London in 2021, and 6 other English cities have since followed, including Birmingham. There are 4 further LEZs in Scotland. So anyways, the idea is they're trying to clean the air, but then they're still paying the fees because they're not actually... The fines are there to basically force you to change your car or just not come into the center. But they're just paying the fines instead, which is counterintuitive to the whole idea of the scheme. The scheme is to stop you from doing it, but they're just doing it anyways and then paying a fine.
Right.
So, counterintuitive to their own scheme.
Like you said, where does the fine money go anyway? Does it just go to recycle the bribe money? I'm sorry, replenish the bribe money? We need more bribe money. I don't know. Yeah. So you think it sounds like self-dealing? Self-dealing. It's like...
I'm just saying, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to, like, do it. Like, if you think about it, right? Oh, we need money to upgrade our fleet. So let's pay ourselves a fine to upgrade our fleet. That's what it sounds like, yeah. That's what the fines are for, right? The money that goes into the fine, it's supposed to be used to upgrade fleets. That's what it's for. So that's what's confusing about it, yeah.
It seems like they should be exempt from the fines because they're the ones that are the owners. Yeah, it's kind of like, having worked as a government contractor, they had this thing called, this is my non sequitur, they have this thing called tax exempt, right? I'm working for the government, I'm staying at your hotel, I'm already spending taxpayers' money. Why am I paying tax on this room when I'm already spending taxpayers' money? Does that make any sense? So it would be self-dealing. It would be like, okay, the government's generating a job to create tax that it can charge the hotel guests. That would be self-dealing, right? That's technically self-dealing. So tax exempt forms exist for that reason. I'm not paying the tax because I'm already government expense.
Using tax money. I'm already exactly. I agree. Yeah. That's what's weird about it.
Yeah, so every time I stay in a hotel as a government contractor, I did not pay the hotel tax because I had the tax form. And another non sequitur, at one point, Marriott, the hotel chain, said, we're not going to honor the tax exempt forms for government contractors anymore, only government employees. And my point was, government contractors get killed in wars all the time. They get killed in wars. Right now, while we're talking, there's a government contractor get put up by a IED somewhere in Iraq. This is years ago. Anyway, I raised the fuss. I called my travel agent, right? And I told her the situation. Marriott is not going to let contractors stay at government rates. They're not going to let government tax exempt rooms. And my company, which is a huge company, BAE Systems, from that day forward had an official policy: we are not staying at Marriott hotels. So I got that down.
Yeah.
I'm going to put full credit for that. I don't know. Marriott did reverse their position at some point.
Yeah, of course they did.
So I take credit for that too. It was all me. I ended the Cold War, and I was responsible for that. Those two things I'm responsible for. Ended the Cold War, and Marriott changed. Outside for Thursday's 13, about non sequitur went on too long. sarcasm you have. This is my second section, not my first section. I'm on page 2. What do we have?
We have alliteration headline.
All right, so I was predicting sarcasm. I was wrong. Okay, alliteration. We're going to talk about quantum leaps, not quantum computers, which might be the next quantum leap, right? We don't know what the next one could be. The next one could be we learn how to reverse magnetism and learn how to fly. Wouldn't that be something, right? We haven't figured out what causes gravity. We figured it out. I figured out we can reverse it, correct? I would think. Then our little Thursday 13 is called Quantum Leaps, as I try to get some enthusiasm. There we go. Here comes some enthusiasm. Quantum Leaps. And of course, quantum leaps, of course, you know what quantum leaps is one of those things in human history. I don't think animals have human history. One day we were sitting around in a cave, wondering how the hell, what are we going to do today? What's going on? And basically, we were equal with all the other beasts that really didn't have a lot of brain power. And one thing alone changed that. And what was that one thing? Fire. Fire was the first quantum leap. Fire has always existed, of course. However, humans could not harness it and control it until some point around, a million years ago. Ugg the caveman or cave woman, cave girl or cave boy or whatever said, whoa, I just figured something out. If I rub some sticks together, blah, blah, blah. Hey, I know, here's an idea. If I just get this hot enough, it starts on fire. Hey, this thing burns really easy. Hey, this chemical starts on fire. Somebody, somewhere harnessed that power and used it to cook food. And because you cooked food, your brain now, instead of just all of your chemical processes working on digesting that raw meat that you've been eating for the entirety of human existence after that time, now your brain can focus on other things besides sleeping off your feast. You don't have to sleep it off so much because you're not digesting the food so quickly, right? It's not. Oh, I'm sorry. You're not digesting the food completely with your body chemicals. It's been digested by fire. Also, fire led to what? Communal meals. Hey, they got a fire. Got a pig. Let's get together and have a meal and form a little group where we can intermarry and maybe take over that other tribe over there. I'm not saying it was all good. I'm just saying it was a quantum leap. I guess war should be in here too, but let's skip war. Let's skip war for the good of mankind anyway. Although wars are, they call it double-edged sword. A lot of medical advances come from war. They're literally a double-edged sword too. Because anyway, at least until we invented gunpowder, which is gunpowder on the list? No, gunpowder's not on the list, unfortunately, because we're only it was a quantum leap, but it's not on the list. Number 2 is the wheel. We don't know who invented it or where, or well, we kind of know where. It was invented probably in Africa. North of the Americas. At this point, I have not uncovered a whole lot of evidence of the wheel in North America or South Africa. This part of the world. So the wheel, about 4000 BC, somebody decided there was a better way to transport stuff to the next thing. And again, what was the wheel important? Is important for moving crops or taking things to the next village. For trade became a thing. I can take all of my stuff. Of course, another quantum leap would have been farming, individually farming, and that would have probably happened in Mesopotamia. I almost couldn't say it. That would have probably happened. But again, if you have no place to trade and you have no villages to go to, not a big deal. But when the wheel was invented, all of a sudden transportation to other parts of the world, you made yourself a cart and you put your cart behind an oxen, more stuff, or a cow, or a donkey, or whatever, and you could just, hey, I don't like it here, I can move my shit somewhere else. We became smarter. We invented the wheel, and it exponentially took off from there. And some point after the wheel, or somewhere around another few thousand or 1,000 years, the next 1,000 years of the wheel, we developed a written language. The Phoenicians, again, or anybody like that, was, you know what? We're all gonna die. We figured this out. We don't live forever. Maybe we should write some of this stuff down so the people after us can learn from us and not have to do the same things over and over and over again. And those cave paintings, well, you know what? They're permanent and stuff. Yeah. Nobody really, that's a picture, all right, you know? Hieroglyphics were probably great, but, and probably people understood them perfectly. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there was a widely dispersed written language where you understood what that picture meant, but written language made it so much easier to communicate, and we have it to this very day. And that's why it's a quantum leap. And the written language at that time was only written for the next, 1800 years or so. It was written only. I'm sorry. I'm going to say that again. For the next 5,000 years. Written only. You had to write a pen, or you had to get some kind of device and do it by hand manually. But the biggest quantum leap in the last 1,000 years is, of course, the printing press. The printing press, Gutenberg. We can put a name to this one. Gutenberg, your big leap, your big, gigantic, huge leap was the mass production of reading material. Instead of one scribe taking 6 months to transcribe one entire book, you could just do the whole book in an afternoon. One guy in an afternoon makes several copies in an afternoon and just say, there you go, that is solved. And of course, that led to more religious freedom and, of course, more religious wars. Martin Luther, again, was a famous example of that. His pamphlets got widely distributed because of the printing press, which, again, was created in that part of the world. Gutenberg. Number 5 is the introduction of the Industrial Revolution in 1765 with the steam engine by James Watt. What?
Wow, yeah, we can go really far.
That's why we're named us. That's why our unit of measure for the power, the measurement of power, is the watt. And a watt is simply voltage multiplied times current. And so James Watt started the Industrial Revolution. The steam engine, of course, replaced the mill. The paper mill of those days was just, you had to build it by a river, and that river had to be kind of barely strong current, and you had a big wheel turning, and that powered your whole everything. Your lumber mill, everything you did in your town was powered by that one mill. Anything you needed made. You made flour with it. You made everything with that one mill. And the steam engine made it so, hey, a steam engine can run, for instance, a train. So train travel became necessary. We're not going to necessarily put train travel on here because the steam engine is what made train travel possible. Number 6, after the steam engine, 1820, the photograph. That's right, the photograph, the original photograph. There's no pictures really existing from this time period. The original photograph was just an open, exposed piece of paper and flash exposed in that instant, and it's dark the rest of the time, and it had to be developed over a long period of time. So you had to hold perfectly still, even though the flash was pretty instant. That you had to hold perfectly still because of the long developing time. Actually, the daytime pictures are the ones that took long developing time, but the flash ones are instant. I got that wrong. Well, of course, the flash ones are instant. That makes absolute sense. Sorry about that. A photograph was invented so we could look at what we looked like without a mirror, because a mirror image is not exactly what you look like. So people got the first image of what they actually look like in a picture and go, God damn, I'm ugly. And they were black and white, so although color probably was technically possible, people weren't all that interested in it. So the first photographs taken 1820, over 200 years ago. We're in the age of photography. A lot of things happened for the next 50 years, but I think the biggest leap during the Industrial Revolution after the photograph was probably the telegraph. Instantaneous communications across a line. It traveled at the speed of well, not exactly the speed of light, because light does not travel on a copper wire, but it traveled at the speed of copper wire all the way to your little clickety-click. You went clickety-clickety, and the other went clickety-clickety, and then the other end clickety-clickety you back, and the thing did it on its own, and it was your job to write down what those dashes and dots meant and translate them to somebody. Created a whole new industry, created a whole new job called the telegraph operator. And those guys were, you would not even for a second, even if the telegraph operator was having sex with your wife, you would not kill that guy if he was the guy in your town that read the telegraphs. He's the only one that knows how to read messages. Yeah, he's messing around with my wife, but he's
scenario?
Yeah. I'm just saying the telegraph operator was a trick shot for a long time in these towns. I'm telling you, that doesn't. You're almost a rock star in your town if you're a telegraph operator. I'm just saying, man. There was no telephones in 1830. There was no telephones not until 1870. 1870s. So telegraphs were another big leap. 10 years after the photograph, the telegraph came, and 1 year after this doesn't seem it doesn't seem possible, but AC power has been with us since 1831. The AC powered dynamo is developed. That's right, AC power, which is, you turn something,
very
and it
dangerous.
generates power. Use a couple magnetic force to generate a current, a power field, and you get current from that. And the power dynamo was developed in 1831. It was a long time before anybody got their homes wired with AC power. It was basically the 20th century before that really happened. But it existed, and you could power up small things with a small little dynamo. You could power up a little house or whatever. Just get yourself AC power dynamo and start generating it with a bicycle or whatever. Just get something to turn that dynamo, and you got yourself AC power. You can hook it up to your mill, your flour mill in your town. Hey, I got a dynamo. Guess what? I got power. The first ones didn't generate enough to light a home, but we eventually got there. That was a quantum leap, but the leap itself kind of didn't really take place for quite a while. But we got to understand it had to be invented first. And around the same time that quantum leap of electrical power was taking place, getting installed in homes, the telephone was invented by Alexander Graham Bell. Alexander Graham Bell had worked on the original inventions of other people, as all inventors do. You don't just start from scratch. And he had developed a telephone, a way to use telegraph lines to transmit voice, making that big hero in your town, the telegraph operator, just another guy. Just another guy. You're just another guy now. You're no longer that important, Mr. Telegraph Operator. Oh, look, none of the girls want to talk to you anymore. What's happened? So telegraph operator's life just went upside down, and the telephone operator became a thing, and
telephone operator.
Thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of women went into the workforce becoming telephone operators. It was a woman's job. I have never in my life talked to a male operator.
And somehow we don't have enough intelligence to do anything else.
Yeah. Patch wires. You want to talk? And by the way, telephone operators, there was no switches in those days. You had to call them, and they had to patch you, right? Because there was one line into the operator, there might have been 10 lines into the operator. But anyway, and then onto there, and they just physically patched you. That was a great job to have, I would think, although boring as hell. And you get to talk to people all day and listen to their shit. That's another thing. The telephone and the telephone operator, 1876. Of course, the telephone operator, even though it was a quantum leap, became obsolete not too long after the invention of the switch, the electric switch. Number 10, as we're getting almost to the 20th century, radio. Radio was developed, I won't say invented. Nobody invented radio. Do you hear me? Tesla didn't invent the radio. Marconi didn't invent the radio. They developed a radio. The radios were many people developing radios at the time. There was a controversy over the patent. It was rewarded to Marconi. It was possibly rewarded to Tesla. Tesla wasn't around to celebrate. He doesn't know. Tesla has no idea he got the patent. But anyway, radio was invented in 1893. That's why we are talking right now to you. We do not talk about radio. In fact, everything you do in your entire life depends on radio at this point. And you probably don't realize it, but radio waves are everywhere around you at all times. They're a physical thing that you can't see. Anyway, so radio. Of course, the quantum leap of communications, instant communications, two-way instant communications. Don't forget that. Just like a telephone, but without the wires. Love it. 11.
Yeah.
11. This is one of your real quantum leaps. Used to take 1895 if you want to get from New York City to Los Angeles. 1895. What did you do? You got a covered wagon. You got a daggone covered wagon. You got supplies. You bought some horses, right? You paid somebody to ferry you across rivers. You got attacked by tribes all the way across the country. You starved to death. Your family died. You got disease, dysentery. You ate cannibalism, right? 25 years later, you can just get on an airplane and fly there. Now that's a quantum leap. That is crazy. Think about that. Air travel, 1920s was the first time. I know airplanes were a thing from 1903 on, but there's no way you're booking a flight from Chicago to Cleveland on the Wright brothers freaking prop job, right? That goes 100 yards and crashes. You're not flying on that. But air travel was again harnessed. We got planes that would get passengers, and we just charge people to get from there to there. And the first commuter flights were born in 1920s. The world has never been the same. It'll never be the same again. Air travel. You look up in the sky, and there's stuff up there now that ain't birds. Amazing. If you took somebody from 1895 and put them in 1925, they would lose their fucking minds. Cars and planes everywhere. They would lose their fucking minds. Just like somebody from 1995 would lose their minds today. They would. They would. I think they would. Number 12 is television. Television, one of those things. I'm not talking about broadcast television. I'm talking about putting a picture in a box. That's all. A moving picture in a box.
Being able to see stuff, yeah, in your house instead of having to go to the movie theater.
I needed a big, gigantic, huge cathode ray tube, which stored about gazillion volts. And if you ever touched it with your finger or whatever, it'd shoot you up across the street from the shock. So that kind of dangerous technology, but it was necessary. A cathode ray tube was there to beam electrons against a screen. And it's called an electron gun against a screen. And the cathode ray tube needs a lot of power, not enough power that you get from the wall. So it had to store it up in a big capacitor that discharged. That's why your TVs, old TVs, when you turned them on, they didn't come on. They had to warm up. That capacitor had to charge. Charging. The capacitor got the full power, the screen would power up. And when you turn the TV off, it would sit there and radiate power for another 25 minutes. There would be no picture,
nice and warm,
but there would be a glow on the screen because that electron gun was slowly discharging that capacitor. That's what I'm saying about how dangerous they were. Nowadays, we just got liquid crystal diodes, LCDs. And those are what we use. And there was plasma. Anyway, that's a whole nother thing. But television in 1927 was the quantum leap. You could see people moving pictures. That wasn't massively a thing until the 1940s, late 1940s. There was television networks that put on something worth watching. Before then, you could probably watch a sporting event or two. And back in the day, TVs went off the air at 12 midnight because they couldn't sell commercial time after that. And our 13th, and the one that got us way into the future, semiconductors. Semiconductors, what are semiconductors? The first semiconductor was a diode. Second one was a transistor. A diode has two inputs. A transistor has three, right? It has something coming in and something going out. It's basically a switch. A semiconductor is a switch. It's got two things coming out into it, and a third input, which depends on if the switch is open or closed, or how open or how closed it is, or open for how long, and how open for how long. There's so many varieties of these semiconductors. And why does this quantum leap? Because you can make things so small now. You used to have tubes, and the tubes had the same problem as cathode ray tubes did, was they had to warm up. The tubes were useless coal, and the tubes worked as a series of amplifiers, and they all had to warm up. Now you can make them smaller and smaller and smaller until we got to the next, which was a quantum leap in itself, which most quantum leaps do build on some other thing before, but the microcircuit was born after the semiconductor. The microcircuit used silicon, the tiny things you couldn't even see with the naked eye, creating tiny little switches. Don't forget, semiconductors are just switches, like a toggle on-off switch. And depending on the conditions, it's on or off. On or off, ones and zeros. That's the invention of our modern world and our end of our quantum leap list.
Woohoo! Anyway. Yeah! So many things that make us where we are now. I'm actually curious what our next ones will be.
I guess they're going to say AI, but I just don't know how real necessary it's ever going to become for us. And I think it's going to lead toward demise, if anything. But that's,
I think AI itself has already proved its usefulness with like all the cancer research it's done and stuff, right? But yeah, generative AI, I don't know how that's going. That might be our first quantum downfall instead of leap. That's when everything went bad. Humans stopped using their brains and they stopped inventing things because the AI will just invent it for them. Yeah, that's
I think we're going to get better at spotting it. I hope we get better at spotting it before it gets better at fooling us. Get this race, I guess. The race we're against is like train your brain to look for real stories and real people.
The scary thing is that if you grow up only consuming AI, generative AI stuff, you won't know what real stuff looks like, so then you won't be able to identify it. That's the scary thing. Like Gen Alpha or less or whatever, they're not going to even know what real stuff looks like. They're only going to say AI. They don't have that comparison. Yeah.
They're going to know what real music is. Yeah. It's going to be irrelevant to them. It's going to be like, who cares who plays that guitar? He's not any good. He's not as good as my AI guitarist. Of course he's not as good. Your AI guitarist.
There's a lot of artists who are already worried that nobody cares about lyrics anymore, right? They don't care about what you're talking about. They just want to hear something that makes them dance, and then who cares what you have to say? We don't want to hear what your feelings are, you know?
Take it from, I watch one of his reactors. She's called the Charismatic Voice. She's actually one of the more popular ones because she's an opera singer and she listens to modern, not necessarily all modern music, but rock and roll stuff I listened to growing up and stuff. She listens to that. She was not raised on it, never heard any of it. She's much younger than me. I mean, she still has no wrinkles on her face and stuff. But anyway, she's way younger than me, and her opinion is perfection is not art.
Yeah.
So if you're striving for perfection, that's not a thing. So,
no.
And that's from somebody at the foo-foo level of art, right? Opera, which most people, let's face it, opera is not accessible to most people. Most of it's in Italian, or French, or whatever.
Or German.
You're like, I don't know what they're singing about, but they seem unhappy. Yeah. That's all I know. Like, oh, let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy the high notes she can sing. That's right. We can enjoy the talent, as we have no idea what the play's about. Right, so she knows that most people aren't into her shit. So, because perfection is not a human thing. If humans were perfect, we wouldn't have any problems, would we? So yeah, AI will be the end of civilization as we know it. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. If we let it go
my
forward.
alliteration headline is. Quantum quandaries quickly quell conventional cognition, catalyzing a cosmic cascade. That's a Q and C combo there, huh?
You're using the hard C, or
the QC. I don't know, the Q sound.
The hard Q. Sometimes people say
Q only has one sound. I guess that's true.
Yeah, you can say quick or you can say kick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that would be wrong. Alright, next up is my next long story, which is about this new heated rivalry musical And our segue is
What
going
do
to
we
be a hypothetical.
Hypo. I sent you a video, but
Okay.
I'll leave it up to you.
This is
It's
coming
just a stupid
from
thing
the
that happened. That's all.
The Guardian by Juan A. Ramirez. Walking into the Culture Club in West Chelsea, New York, for a performance of Heated Rivalry, the unauthorized musical parody, last week, Juan was met with 3 ghosts left over from when the space was called the McKittrick Hotel, and it hosted the immersive Spook Fest, Sleep No More. The first was the phantom of a clever detail, cans of athletic IPAs for sale, a cute non-alcoholic nod to the mega-popular series' hockey setting. The second was a unnerving fright, as Juan realized there would be no booze at this singing satire. Would he be able to make it through 90 minutes of jokes about an overexposed Canadian gay sports romance with 0 quality guarantee and an even lower blood alcohol concentration? At least at the downtown premiere of the popular parody Titanic, long before it proved itself worthy of a handful of Tony nominations, you could stand up and order a bucket of White Claws. But then the third specter materialized, the ghost of immersion and surrender, as this very funny production completely won Juan over. He's since learned that a liquor license is forthcoming. Heated Rivalry for the Uninitiated is a television show adapted from a series of gay romance novels by Rachel Reed, a straight woman who unwittingly launched 1,000 discussions about who gets to be horny over whom, how, and when. Fans of the book petitioned for a wider release of the show produced for the Canadian streamer Crave last November, and some 6 months later, its formerly unknown stars Connor Story and Hudson Williams are in easy contention for the most photographed people alive. Heated Rivalry, the unauthorized musical parody, is the latest addition to the New York's musical parody cottage industry, which has led Juan to a theater lobby where a woman in a branded hockey jersey is telling the stranger next to her that she's seen the series probably as not as much times as you think, but still a lot. I've only watched it once myself. There was a communal giddiness as everyone filled into the unassuming performance space where less than 200 folding chairs were arranged around a small stage. Super fans were giddy that their dreams were coming true, and the more reserved types, perhaps blushing at what they deemed beneath them, were still clearly enjoying themselves. Juan liked the TV show just fine, a bit underwhelmed at what was broadly discussed as softcore smut, but felt more in line with the twee naughtiness of the romance world. Juan had worried a musical parody put together in a few months would be a cash grab, plain fan service for those who can't get enough of those 6 novels or episodes, not jabbing at the culture so much as stroking its ego. Impressively, as written by Dalen McAriel and directed by Alan Clipper, it satisfies all 3 camps. Framing is everything, and this romp begins with a faux earnest number, a à la Watrice, where 3 suburban Susans detail their newfound pastime, putting their husbands to bed with some iPad time, knocking back an Ambien margarita, and revealing that their favorite televised boy aquarium from their main Susan, Ryan Redmond, glorious, recaps the years-long flirtation between the feuding players, innocent Japanese-Canadian Shane Hollander, Jimin Moon, and brusque Russian Ila Rozanov, J. Armstrong Johnson. The boy aquarium, by the way, is what a lot of women call NFL. Sorry, not NHL. NHL. They call the NHL the boy aquarium because it's just... That's what they call it. Yeah, it's a real thing. Yeah. The obligatory double entendres, a song titled Shane Hollander Slap That Stick, or a line by Shane's mom about the heavy load her obviously gay son carries, are expertly delivered right between earnestness and tongue-in-cheek. But it's McAriel's ability to mock the story's sillier elements that clinched it for Juan. Shane, whose thumb-twiddling submissiveness often granted in the TV show, is played by Moon as a dopey bottom with a hopeless romantic complex. What the series plays out as a forbidden romance, Brit epic across timelines and borders, McAriel presents as Shane's borderline delusion in dealing with an uncaring dom for years on end. I keep replaying things he said, Shane beams after a hookup, like, ass up, little whore. The score's best number, certainly the one best primed for cabaret nights anywhere, is Liza Minnelli's Maybe This Time Send Up, where Shane croons, This fuck felt different from the last fuck. This fuck, he asked if I would stay. Remember, this is a parody of the show, so it's supposed to be very tongue-in-cheek. Yeah, exactly.
I know.
Canadian.
Life is a cabaret, old chum. I don't know. Maybe sing it that tune.
The Canadian Clipper, previously an artistic director of a famed improv spots like Second City and Asylum NYC, where he helped launch the Titanic's improbable boom, later told Juan that these parodies rarely come together with such speed, let alone quality. He'd love Mark Orwell's Pop Off, Michelangelo in London, and Megan's spoof Stateside, and he had just bought into heated rivalry, courtesy of its amorously optimistic 5th episode, when the writer texted him with the idea. The resulting work fits attractively between the out-and-out bawdiness of the Titanic send-up and the relentless millennial nostalgia of Ginger Twinsies, which parodied the 90s Parent Trap remake last summer. And Cliffler notes that this very queer, very funny moment downtown, which also includes Cole Escola's Oh Mary, points to a little bit of an off-Broadway renaissance that I think people just want to laugh, go out and have a good time, and see a show that is a little shorter. That is true. Parodies are usually shorter than a long Broadway romp.
Right. You're not trying to tell a story. You're just trying to send it up.
Get people to laugh, yeah. Exactly what they said. He also credits his improv background with inspiring Heated Rivalry's audience participation moment, when someone in the front row was asked to portray Francois Arnaud's obsessive jogger. It was the actor Thomas Dulger at the performance Juan attended, before briefly furloughed from his Book of Mormon gig while its theater bounced back from going up in flames. "You think a fire is gonna keep me from the stage?" he quipped afterwards. Dulger would certainly count among those with who Cliffler said wants to be together in a communal space and have fun with joyous people who aren't afraid to be themselves. That last bit scanned as a bit of a platitude at first, but felt remarkably apt when Juan returned to the Culture Club a few days later to speak with expecting fans.
Culture
like most
Club.
Small groups, yeah, that's where this is being played at. Like most small groups in the pre-show holding area. Oh, okay, yeah. Those two were giggling to themselves, but it was immediately drawn to a woman's heartily reaching out to others wearing jerseys similar to hers. Appropriately, she was a straight romance author from Connecticut, pen name Regina Kyle, there to see the show with her queer friend Lenny. Cutting off each other's sentences, they explained his reluctance to watch the series, not wanting another gay show where all we had to do is tragedy at the end. That's what I keep on telling, all my gay friends. Please watch the show. It has a happy ending for once. They don't kill the gay people in the show, okay? You can watch it. It's very happy. A longtime fan of the books, Regina convinced him to dive in. The two grew closer, and we discovered queer romance and that there was queer joy. That's the whole reason Jacob Tierney made the show, right? He said we wanted more joy. The Heated Rivalry, the unauthorized musical parody, is at Culture Club, New York, until the 7th of September. So if you find yourself in New York, at least until September 7th, I guess go check it out for a little romp and joy. Some, what did they say? Some queer joy, and great jokes. There you go. That is my story on something I probably would have never heard of because I don't live in Broadway, so.
Yes, hypothetically, maybe they should send up the not Little Mermaid. What's the one with Tom Hanks and where he marries a mermaid? Oh, Splash! Splash. They should send up that one. Yeah, it's like interspecies marriages. No, it's like let's have that one. Not enough interspecies marriages in any
I
genre,
think there's also Guillermo del Toro movie. What was the name of that? Living Water or whatever. That was also a merman romance.
Oh, don't forget Miss Piggy and Kermit the Frog. There's your interspecies marriage.
Of course, now that he's no longer in that salad bag from yesterday.
Well, he is a puppet, so let's not get beyond that. All right, so this day. Oh,
next segue.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We are gonna get a 3 haikus. Oh no, sorry, 3 limericks. I thought it was haiku. It landed on limerick.
Man,
I'm
that's
gonna
too
write you
bad.
3 limericks.
You only got to do one. Nobody said you got to do 3.
Maybe I could combine them all together.
No requirement to do 3, as we do this day in history. On this day in the history, let me close some stuff so I know I'm gonna leave that open because I want to look into this. I'll leave that open. This day in history going back to 1291. Wow, way back there. The Crusades. Remember the Crusades? Some of us were around.
I was on live for that.
1291, Crusader rule in the Holy Land came to an end as the Mamelukes took the city of Acre, the last stronghold of the Kingdom of Jerusalem. Acre, again, was the last stronghold of the Knights Templars. And you go there now, I think you can tour all the tunnels they have there. They were hiding a lot of stuff in those tunnels, maybe gold, right? Who knows what they were hiding? But when the walls were closing in around them, they got away. I'm pretty sure it's 1291. 1660, George I, the Elector of Hanover, and the first Hanoverian king of Great Britain, was born in Osnabrück, Germany. We've been there, right? Isn't that a place we stopped? And I think we even looked that up. George I was born here. So we looked at the hotel, I've never heard of the city. What happened here? And we looked it up. Anyway, yeah, the Crusader thing. I'm thinking the Knights Templars escaped to Scotland at that time and ended up in Rosslyn and helping out Robert the Bruce defeat the King of England. 1804, Napoleon proclaimed establishment of the French Empire. Oh, we have a French Empire, now go. Your mother was a hamster, he said to everybody else. We are no longer a stinking what do you call it? What do they call it? Monarchy. We are a Napoleonic. We're just going to be Napoleon stuff Republic for the next 60 years on and off. 1830, the Indian Removal Act was passed by Andrew Jackson. Piece of shit.
Fuck that guy!
Still a lot of our money to grant Native American tribes Western land in exchange for settlements within the borders of the United States, from which they would be removed. And again, they just took away their land again after that. 1888, Jim Thorpe was born, one of the most accomplished all-around athletes in history, the first Native American Olympic gold. When an Olympic gold medal for the United States, was born near Prague in what today is Oklahoma. No, he was not born in the Czech Republic. He was born in Oklahoma, in a town called Prague. His grandmother was from Wisconsin, that tribe. So in 1934...
It's always the people within.
Yes, he was Indians for some
reason. Half of his family. Huh. Maybe the white people will love me if I hate everyone else.
Yes, Jim Thorpe famously won a whole bunch of medals at the 1908 Olympics, and when he met the King of Sweden, it was in Stockholm, the King of Sweden said, "You are truly the greatest athlete in the world." And Jim Thorpe's response was, "Thanks, King." You know how to talk to royalty. 1934, 1934, the Dion quintuplets, the first set of documented quintuplets. I think it was 1912 Olympics, actually. I got the year wrong, whatever. Anyway, the Dion quintuplets were born on this day in Ontario, Canada, and calendar. The first set of quintuplets ever documented. They were known as, let me get their names right. Why not? Let's do a little quickie on the Dion quintuplets while you're writing 5 limericks. Well, anyway, the oldest of them, the oldest surviving of them died last year, 2025, living to be 91 years old. So there you go. The oldest two, they died the same year. I think the first one that died at 20. That couldn't have been natural causes. So even though they were quintuplets, they were all girls, all identical quintuplets, they were genetically predisposed to live to be at least 91. Although the other 3 died much earlier. 1937, Volkswagen was founded by Nazis. The mass-produced low-priced people's car, Volkswagen. That car later became known as the Beetle. Became globally popular in the 1950s. Get yourself a Hitlermobile. 1937, speaking of Hitler, Neville Chamberlain, whose whole entire reputation depended on one person, Hitler. And Hitler let him down. That's right. Neville Chamberlain, his name would become identified with the policy of appeasement towards Nazi Germany. This poor bastard has been dead for a long time, and nobody will ever forget his dead body is the one that peace Hitler said, we got peace in our lifetime. Sure. 1961, dedicated to informing public opinion about human rights, Amnesty International was founded on this day and won the 1977 Nobel Peace Prize. Amnesty International doesn't care what your politics are. They just care that you're being locked up for no good reason other than you have politics. 1998, Japan successfully conducted several underground nuclear tests, marking its 7th country to possess nuclear weapons. Well, at least they did it underground, not in the atmosphere. 1999, after some 2 decades of restoration work, Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper was reopened to the public view in Santa Maria del Grazie, Milan. I swear that's the whole entire name of the town, and that Milan, that's in Italy, right? Yeah. Through 2014, Maya Angelou passed away, my American poet, memorist, and actress. Several volumes of autobiography and antibodies explore the themes of economic, racial, and sexual oppression. She died this day at the age of 86 in 2014. Which means she was born in 1928. There's your math. Okay. 2016. This is really fucked up. I just want to say that. Get that out there. A gorilla named Harambe was shot and killed at Cincinnati Zoo after his 3-year-old boy fell into his enclosure. The incident prompted debates in the United States over how the situation should have been handled, as well as the role of zoos. Okay. Here's how you handle it. You don't shoot the gorilla. Maybe send a human in there. I don't know. It ain't the gorilla's fault. It ain't the gorilla's fault the kid fell in the cage. I'm not saying you should let the gorilla tear the kid apart, but I don't know. Don't you have tranquilizer guns? I'm sorry, Zoo. You fucked that up. Anyway, that's what happened this day 10 years ago. That was really stupid. I remember it. I remember the outrage. You shooting a gorilla, huh? Wasn't hurting anybody. But he might have hurt somebody. Sure. All right, a featured event on this day in 1788, the publication of the Federalist, or what we call it, the Federalist Papers, a series of 77 essays defending the proposed new U.S. Constitution. This is pre-Constitution stuff, discussing the nature of Republican government, written in 1787 by Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay, were published in the form of the Federalist. The essays explored a wide range of issues, including judicial review, foreign policy, taxation, militias, separation of powers, election treaties, and why the Articles of Confederation were not sufficient to hold the country together. The remaining 8 essays appeared in New York newspapers between June 14th and August 1778. I'm 1780.
There's some U.S. history for you.
Yeah, so this day, 1788, was the first of the Federalist Papers were published. The beginning of a country. Ian Fleming's birthday today, British author. Wrote
And
why
Hamilton is even famous for the most part, really, right? Because he never became president. But he did write the Federalist Papers. Yeah.
And he's on our $10 bill, and he was the first U.S. treasurer. So he's the first U.S. treasurer. He's on our $10 bill. So, and James Madison, I don't think he's on any money, even though James Madison literally wrote the Constitution. He's the guy who sat down and go, "Here's the Constitution."
I guess he didn't die. Yeah, put James Madison on the fucking $20 bill. Fuck Andrew Jackson.
Well, we have Harriet Tubman's supposed to be going on there, remember? So,
Oh yeah, right.
May 28th, 1908 is the birthday of Ian Fleming, famous author, wrote all the James Bond stuff. Well, most of it. I think somebody else took over the estate, appointed somebody, I don't know, whatever. He was a spy himself before the initial spy agency of England started. And he died August 12th, 1964 at the age of 56. Didn't really get to enjoy all them James Bond movies, did he? Almost none of them, really. Was there any James Bond movies before 1964?
Maybe that's why they exist. Because he was dead.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe he was preventing it. 1923 is the birthday of N.T. Rama Rao, Indian actor. So he's 102 today. And politician. Basketballer Jerry West, born in 1938. He's no longer with us. Jerry West famously was the general manager of the Lakers after being a player for them for 20 years or something. 1944 is the birthday of Rudy Giuliani, still clinging to life. That guy could just disappear off the face of the earth, and I don't think anybody give a crap. Maybe his family, if they still like him. 1968 is the birthday of Kylie Minogue, an Australian singer, noted for being Australian, according to Britannica. And our national days today. It is National Hamburger Day, National Beef Burger Day, which, what the hell the difference between a hamburger and a beef burger is? Tell us in the comments. A hamburger is made of beef, a beef burger is made of beef. They look exactly the same in the picture. No idea what the difference is, but somebody decided to break them up into two separate things on the same day and call it two different things. I have no idea why this thing exists as a thing, but it's those things at the same time. Plus brisket. Brisket is that chunk of beef that you can just cook for like 7 hours and smoke it really slow. It's full of fat, it's full of flavor, and when you finish, you slice it up, throw it on a sandwich. It's probably the best thing you can eat next to bacon. Hell, throw some bacon on it. Yeah, there you go. There's your stuff. We didn't have any haikus today. We're about to have some limericks, your mispronunciations, your silly arguments. Don't forget our silly arguments. For Thursday, and you're 13, your list of 13s, and there is no quantum leap for hamburgers. For May 28th, 2026, on before brisket or burgers. Brisket and burgers. Listen, literate.
So I can tell you.
Beef, brisket, burger.
Green screen's messed up. I can tell you the difference between a hamburger and a beef burger, and that's that some people make a actual pork beef mix in their burger meat when they make hamburgers. Like, it's a real thing. It's a gourmet thing people do, right? They put like 30% pork, 70% beef.
I would call it dollar stretching. I would call that dollar stretching because pork is way.
I think expensive chefs do this shit because they're like, well, if you add 30% pork meat into the burger, it has more of a texture. That's why I'm saying that it's something pretentious chefs do, right?
Yeah, it sounds pretty.
It creates the fat renders better if you put some pork in there. Anyway, so that's the difference. The difference is hamburgers are the pretentious burger. Beef burger is the least pretentious one, and the briskets are briskets. Yep. Yeah, there's a difference.
Right. Unless you're in India, where you don't eat beef at all.
Yeah.
In India, you don't eat beef at all. You're just not eating it. Okay, let's
With essays on power and right. In newspapers, they took flight, judicial review, and more, aiming to strengthen the core of a nation set forth in the light. There is your Federalist Papers. I've always been a Federalist more than a Republican myself.
Yeah.
In London, young Fleming took flight with a pen that could give quite a fright. James Bond made his mark. In a world full of spark, as spies dance through the shadow of night. So spies, they're always at the nighttime. Cook it slow, but the flavors infuse in a barbecue pit. We can't lose. With a fork and a knife, it brings joy to our life. On National Brisket Day, we enthuse. Infuse and enthuse for you right there.
I thought you were going to rhyme with brisket. Forget brisket. Yeah.
Don't forget brisket. That's funny. And that is our stories, I guess. And I think there's still no international observances today. I think when I looked, there was nothing yet, but it's still Week of Solidarity with the people of non-self-governing territories. So if you know people who live in a place where another government tells them what to do, give them some solidarity. And this has been Allison here from the Netherlands, Roger from the East Coast of the US as we tie off another Thursday's 13. Celebrate our quantum leaps. We'll see you tomorrow for the Friday news dump, in which we will tell you all the news stories you need to know about before the weekend, so you don't have to worry about it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitch at Before Coffee Podcast or on YouTube with the same name so that number can go up and we can feel good about ourselves. Thank you everyone who's here for the stream and for supporting us already through follows and subscriptions. And of course, our Before Coffee supporters on Patreon. Here is our mic drop moment.
First, though, police in Butler County say a man snapped after his wife told him their marriage was over. This is an example of
not being able to deal with your emotions very well, for sure.
With his wife and 2 daughters.
Just wanted to point out, this is a Trump county. This county voted overwhelmingly for Trump. This is the county where that fake assassination was staged. Butler, Pennsylvania.
Police say this
likely this dude is a Trump voter, and probably his wife doesn't like Trump. I'm just going to yell at him and say that.
When the husband allegedly used heavy construction equipment,
an argument over what, though?
Demolished the home with his own family still inside.
I think he's crazy.
No?
That's
you think he's crazy, really?
Drone video shows the massive damage left behind.
His wife said, we're getting divorced, and that was it for him. He decided that my home's not worth anything anymore. My insurance ain't going to pay for it, by the way.
Investigators say 48-year-old Eric Pirza used a Kubota excavator to
depends who's under the insurance. Maybe she has the insurance.
I'd like to know what she said to him.
Yeah, exactly.
According to the criminal complaint, Pirza's
asking people
wife
at the
told
gas
police
station.
her husband arrived at the family's home after drinking all night and began arguing with her.
There we
When she learned
go.
the marriage was over. Investigators
another
say he
Yangling field
responded
argument.
with a chilling threat. If it's over, I'll tear the house down.
42 years I've been
Oh,
married.
I wasn't
We know each other all the
metaphorical.
time.
I'm literal.
But I've never threatened to tear the house down.
Police say
That would
moments
never
later,
cross
Pirza
my
climbed
mind. That
into
would
the
never
excavator
cross my
and began
mind, ever,
tearing into
right?
the house.
That's
While his
crazy.
wife and
Destroyed the
two
one thing
daughters
I've been
were
paying
still
for my
inside.
entire
The
life,
criminal
right?
complaint
Yeah,
says the
okay.
dispatchers could hear yelling
Maybe he
and the
owned
sound
it.
of the excavator during the
Ah, yeah.
911 call.
Looks like a nice damn
Investigators
house and a
say
nice piece
after
of
the
property,
destruction
right? Look at
stopped,
that. I'd like to live
Pirza
there.
went back inside,
This
grabbed
asshole's
the
like,
gym
you
bag,
can't have my
and
house,
took
I'll tear it
off toward
apart.
Fawn
It was probably
Township
just a
before
threat anyway.
eventually being
She didn't even
taken
mean
into
it.
custody.
You don't think it's going to happen.
And their
around
kids are
here.
He tried to
inside.
run. He's like, oh shit, what I did? Let me
Say
run
they're still
away.
struggling
You
to
know?
understand what
No, no,
happened.
stay here. You did
One man
crimes.
who says he knows Pirza personally and has hunted with him before described him as a big outdoorsman and said he was shocked by the allegations.
Yeah, he's a model Trump
Pirza is now
voter.
facing charges including causing
I'm sure
Oh,
the problem with
reckless
friends is that you always
endangerment
give them the
and
benefit of the
disorderly
doubt.
conduct. Court records also
Can't think
show his wife
rationally,
planned to
right?
seek a
Can't think
protection of abuse
rationally.
order
Destroys his
following
own
this
property.
incident.
Right?
Pirza is
That's
due in
your
court for his
classic
preliminary hearing
narcissist.
June
I'd rather
9th.
destroy
Reporting
myself
in
than help
Buffalo
anybody
Township, Butler
else.
County, Shelley
June
Ford
9th,
City,
he'll be in
KHNC
court. We'll have
News.
updates.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.